Chipper Jones' first big league home run. It is.
And there it is. 400 career homers.
Great play by Chipper Jones. Gets the out at second base.
Leading it off is Guerrero. First pitch swinging up the middle. His first ever career base hit.
There it is. Vladimir Guerrero, Dominican-born player, the leader in hits. Tomey hits a drive. Good! Number 600 for Jim Tomey.
That's about all National League hitters have done all year is shake their heads as they go back to the dugout.
Trevor Hoffman, number 600.
Hey everyone, welcome to 1225 Live. I'm Alexa Datt. We got 4 new members of the Hall of Fame, plus several players who were left out. Joe Posnanski joins us today. Hey Joe, how's it going?
It's going great.
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 Yeah.
I was just watching that intro.
It gets you psyched. It gets you pumped
me
up,
totally
right?
psyched up. That was so awesome.
We're going to talk all about it today on the show. We're also going to talk about who we believe is going to be a first-ballot Hall of Famer next year, which is going to be pretty interesting because Mariano Rivera is on that list, and I feel like he could maybe come close to a unanimous first ballot.
He might come close, yeah.
Okay,
really
we'll talk
close.
about that. We'll also talk about where Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens fit in all of this mess. But first, we start off the show by welcoming in Danny Waxman. And Danny, when Joe was here 2 days ago, you weren't here.
That's right.
And Joe was so sad, so he's so happy you're back.
I'm happy to be here, and one of my favorite times is when Joe is actually here in studio because you can totally tell that our vibe is completely different and better and happy, and I'm just glad that you're here, Joe.
Oh, Danny, I've so missed you. I really did. I really did.
The tie. I've heard about this tie thing that you're doing.
Yes, only baseball ties. So that's it. From here on in.
Funerals.
Yep, forever.
By the way, we almost didn't have Joe today here on the show because of New York City traffic, and he was tweeting about it on his way here. So many things you love about New York, Joe. Not the cab drivers.
No, I do. When I say I love those things, I love it. I mean, and
you're not being sarcastic.
I'm not being sarcastic at all. And I noticed it. I've always noticed it every time I'm here, but particularly today, noticed how drivers they just straddle the middle. They're like, I want both lanes. I don't feel like this line should prevent me from getting both lanes.
What's the line anyway, right?
Exactly.
Wednesday, Joe, my wisdom to you would be don't toss your cookies in the cab. It costs extra. So that's my New York City Wednesday wisdom.
Wow.
For you.
I did not know that.
I like that.
I learned the hard way.
All right, we're seeing tons of wisdom from MLB Pipeline this week. They're putting out lists of the top 10 prospects at every position. We've been piggybacking off of that and picking the best player at every position. We did pitchers all this week, and today we are doing the best backstops. Danny, who do you believe is the best catcher in MLB right now?
Okay, I'm going with a hometown pick because according to Yadier Molina, we only will be graced with his presence for a mere 3 more years. He's retiring apparently in 2020. Listen, he started the game as a spry 21-year-old, and he's going to be 38 years old by 2020. His accolades include 2 World Series rings, 8 Gold Gloves, 8 All-Star appearances. He's started at least 128 games behind the plate in the last 9 seasons. This is his 15th Major League season. But listen, he's never won an MVP award, so he's got a couple things to check off his list. And he is the guy that everyone turns to for advice, for consistency, for leadership. He is that guy, not just in the Cardinals organization, but across the entire baseball league. And listen, the best part of all, the Cardinals are working on their own enshrinement for Yadier Molina by giving away this Yadi tumbler to fans this season. And nothing says the best like a tumbler, guys.
Yo, he looks like my favorite barista. Look at his outfit. What is going on here? This is amazing.
Listen, he's great behind the plate and also clearly knows how to dress for success.
Yeah, I need one of those coffee mugs. Danny, I'm sure you can finagle a way to get us a couple of those.
I'm going to work on that for
All right, I love Yadier Molina. I love him more than Wilson Contreras loves him, and he's one of our favorites. But I got to tell you, Buster Posey is the best catcher in the game right now, hands down. This guy, the homegrown talent of the San Francisco Giants, former Rookie of the Year and MVP, 5-time All-Star. He's won 3 World Series championships. The 2017 Giants had 1 player who was reliable at the plate. 1. That was Posey. And he was given his 4th Silver Slugger award to prove it. No other Giant besides Barry Bonds has won as many Silver Sluggers as this guy. He had his best offensive year since 2012 when he won that MVP this year, hitting .320 with a .400 on-base percentage and .462 slugging. Buster Posey is gearing up for a championship run in 2018 because it's an even year, ladies and gentlemen, and he's the best catcher in the game.
You are high on the Giants. I know about that. Joe Paz, any thoughts on that?
Well, Lex is right. But Posey is the right choice. But then she ruined it with that Giants World Series thing. That's.
It's an even year. This is what they do. It's the magic.
It's not this year.
2 years ago, that didn't happen.
Because they didn't have Evan Longoria and Andrew McCutchen. Those are the magic pieces that
if they had Andrew Longoria and McCutchen 2 years ago, those guys were a lot better then.
Yeah, that's true too.
But we do have an honorable mention.
Yes. This was something that we saw today on Twitter. And going with our catcher theme, this guy is our MVP today, one of the best catchers on social media. Nick Rickles in the Phillies organization is having a baby with his wife. Well, his wife is having the baby, but you know what I mean. And he's ready for baby Riley to be here. Crouching down in his catcher's position, he's going to catch that baby as it comes shooting out right into his glove.
Riley Rickles, just waiting to be born. The world is now waiting for you, Riley. So, Nick Rickles, thanks.
That sounds kind of like a superstar name, Riley Rickles.
It does. Better than Nick Rickles.
Better than Nick Rickles.
To be perfectly honest,
which is kind of tough to say.
Nick Rickles.
Nick Rickles, yeah.
Nick Rickles. I like it.
It's cool.
And we didn't choose Wilson Contreras. We chose two guys who he hopes to emulate one day, right, Lex?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, he was saying how he wanted to he was going to be better than them, and he kind of had to backtrack on those statements. But that's okay.
That's all right. You know what? He said he was sorry, and he cleared things up. So maybe he'll be on the list one day. But we have a little more off-season drama. Our no off-season campaign has been really hot and heavy, and one of our favorite players, Joe Kelly, decided to chime in on this topic, and he tweeted out this picture today of him obviously participating in his quote no offseason, but he said, "I love having my pitching coach always by my side, always watching. Hashtag yes offseason." So that's his son Knox, by the way, snacking on whatever delicious things he's having while his dad is getting ready for the yes offseason, because it's opposite day, Lex. Did you know that? It's not opposite day, in fact.
Yeah, it's not opposite day, meaning it's opposite day. I was just informing Joe of it earlier, and he was so confused.
I'm still confused. I still have no earthly idea what's going on.
We're going to turn some heads today because that is our question of the day. So what we'd like from you guys on Facebook, and I want to make sure I say this right. I'm checking my notes here. We need you to say a statement going along the theme of opposite day, and we will interpret what you actually mean at the end of the show. We will put all of our three brains together to try to decide what you guys are talking about. So if you're not on Facebook, head over now and let us know what your off-season, no opposite day statement is about your team.
Okay, I'm going to start off. I found something today on Instagram.
Okay.
That was the most beautiful, interesting, and wonderful thing I've ever seen. This is Bryce Harper feeling like Bowser.
Wow.
I did cupping session. The look on Joe's face. Can you please show the look on Joe's face right now? This is amazing because, Joe, there are no words. There are no words, Joe.
I was baffled by opposite day. This is taking me to a whole different level. What is happening here? What is happening?
Why were there so many on the whole body? I thought cupping is just like certain parts.
It's wherever you want to bring blood to the surface to help with your circulation, and apparently he needs it in his entire back.
Cupping. Wow. Interesting.
Opposite day. It's
opposite
beautiful.
Day. So
right,
it's a
Danny?
beautiful thing that's going on. That's right. So going along with opposite day again, head over to Facebook. Let us know your sentiments about your team in our opposite day theme.
All right. Like I mentioned last night, we found out that we had 4 new members of the Hall of Fame, and their reactions when they heard that they were inducted were pretty priceless. Take a look.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I've wanted to come back. I got to play in a Hall of Fame game there one time, but I never got a chance to walk around, so I'm looking forward to it. Okay, sounds good. Bye.
Wrong number. Last time we talked, I was letting you know that you won the National League Most Valuable Player Award. Now I'm letting you know the writers have elected you to the Hall of Fame. Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm calling to let you know that the baseball writers have elected you to the National Baseball Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Oh my gosh, I don't know what to say. This is just an honor, and it's just so special. You have no idea what this means, and I am so grateful, and thank you so much for the call. It's everybody's dream to play baseball, but to get a call like this today is just incredible. Thank you so much.
And I'm letting you know that the baseball writers have elected you to the Hall of Fame.
I appreciate that, Jack. It was awesome seeing Orlando. I'm glad we were able to make it happen today.
Sometimes it takes a little longer than it should, but you're where you belong right now, my friend.
I do appreciate that. I'm surrounded by a lot of family and friends, and they've been listening to you, and like everybody's pretty excited.
His wife rocking the AC/DC t-shirt. I thought that was pretty cool.
Very cool. Very cool. By the way, going into this, I was 100% convinced that in the who is most likely to cry in Cooperstown, it was definitely going to be Tommy, right? Because that's. But now you see Trevor and how affected he was. Yeah, he might be our crier.
That could be pretty awesome. I'd like to see that.
They'll all cry. They'll all cry at least a little bit.
A little bit of emotion.
Tommy, I think, is going to be a mess. He's going to be an absolute mess.
All right, so Tommy and Chipper Jones, first ballot Hall of Famers, 97% and 92% respectively. Why weren't they voted in unanimously?
Because nobody is, right? I mean, especially Chipper.
But we thought maybe that there was a chance that it could be Chipper.
With Chipper, I think there was a chance. But look, Ken Griffey didn't get voted in unanimously a couple years ago. Maddox, I thought Greg Maddox had a great chance to get voted in unanimously. It didn't happen. Look, there's a lot going on with the ballots these days. Some of it not that great. One of the things that's going on is that people are voting strategically. I mean, everybody knew Chipper was going in, so if he's not going to be unanimous anyway, why don't you use that vote to help out a Scott Rowland or Andrew Jones or somebody who needs your vote badly in order to just stay on the ballot? So I think that's part of it. Part of it is just somebody always goes against it. It's weird, but I will say, and look, there is an argument. If Willie Mays isn't unanimous, should anybody be unanimous? I guess there is that argument. I wouldn't make it, but there is that argument.
I hear you. That's part of the argument. To me, I feel like everyone's ballot should be public because I should be able to know, as a baseball fan and a supporter of the Hall of Fame, who I am, supporting, who I'm reading, and what their votes are. Because I want to know who's not voting these guys, unanimously. It's fine that they didn't get voted unanimously, but I have the right to know, right?
Well, I think you have the right to know, but I think even more than that, you have the right to know the reasons.
Right.
And I think there are legitimate reasons. If you want to make those reasons, go ahead. But I don't think you should be able to just do it and just sort of hide and not be seen. So that's why I've always been for the public ballot, and I'm also for explaining your vote. And it's weird, but I guess it doesn't matter. We talked about this a couple days ago. They're in the Hall of Fame now, right? And at this point, nobody cares, right? And nobody cares the vote total. There's no difference if you got in 75.1% or 99.9%. It's exactly, you're in the same Hall of Fame, so I guess it doesn't matter anymore.
Right, if you're in, you're in. Vladimir Guerrero, Trevor Hoffman, what can you say about these two guys and not only their play, but their character?
Oh, my gosh. This is the most fun ballot. This is the most fun Hall of Fame class in decades, maybe since that Nolan Ryan George Brett one. Who didn't love watching Vladimir Guerrero play, right?
Yeah,
I mean, he's just a joy. Just watching highlights of him gets you excited. I mean, the big, huge swing and swinging at everything, no matter where it is. High and low, and the way he threw. I mean, look at this arm. I mean, by the way, this is him airmailing a cutoff man, which he did very often in his career. Look at that thing. That ball was on his ankles. I mean, he's just such an extraordinary hitter. We've never seen anybody like him. There's a Clemente feel to the way he played, but with more power, so that's exciting. And then Trevor Hoffman, I mean, 600 saves, hell's bells, and as good a person as you could possibly be. Did it all for one team. I mean, this was a huge celebration day for the Padres, who have not had a whole lot to celebrate in recent years.
Sure.
So all good. Like I said, all four of these guys are guys that you would root for. They're guys that make the Hall of Fame not just better, because you hope that happens every year, but last year's class was fun too. But not like this year's class. This year's class is an absolute blast, and he's a part of that for sure.
So funny, you talk about Vlad airmailing the cutoff guy. I'm listening to all of these highlights and going back, and whoever's calling the game is like, Vlad looking for the cutoff guy, and just every single time there is no cutoff guy. He doesn't even care who is on the field. He's sending it home. 99% of the time.
Well, my feeling about him is if you have that arm,
of course,
you throw.
Yeah,
right?
I just love the announcer. Like, all right, looking for the cutoff guy. No cutoff guy.
Not looking for the cutoff guy. That was not what he was about. No.
Incredible. All right, so for the second time in 4 years, Cooperstown will welcome 4 players at once, which, this is pretty historic. Does this mean anything? Is this creating a pattern for us or no?
I think it does mean something, but I think what it means is, boy, were we lucky in the 90s and 2000s. We just saw so many great players, and I think that it was easy to forget that. Because, look, there was a lot going on there. The PED stuff was talked about and everything else, but we saw an amazing, historic collection. It was another golden age of baseball. And because it's amazing to me, look, it's not just that we have all of these guys going into the Hall of Fame. They're all first ballot, no doubt kinds of players. I mean, Ken Griffey and Vlad and Tomey and Chipper, Greg Maddux and Randy Johnson and Pedro Martinez and Frank Thomas. And I mean, those guys are all-time greats, and we saw them all at the same period of time. It really does look that, people who grew up in the 90s grew up at a pretty special time.
Absolutely. Guys like Edgar Martinez, who narrowly missed. He received 70% of the votes. That's an 11% increase from last year, which is nice to see him trending in the right way. But Rowan, who's joining us on Facebook and, is kind of curious about this too, wants to know what are the chances that he makes it next year. It's his final year of eligibility. Are we going to see him in the Hall?
Yes.
Good.
Yes, I'm making that not only a prediction, I'm making it as a guarantee. We see him next year. I don't even think it's going to be close. He'll be up around 80% like Trevor was this year. I think this was actually a good year for him. We all wanted him to go in this year.
Right.
But the realism of trying to jump from 55% or whatever all the way up to getting in, it was always going to be a long shot. But he made a huge leap. No way he doesn't get voted in next year.
Good to hear.
So I think this is I actually believe that even though it's a little sad that he has to wait a year and a little sad that he didn't make it this time around, I think this year guarantees him getting in next year.
What's holding him back?
Just time. Look, I mean, he was at 25% of the vote not that long ago.
Right.
So it's so silly, Alexa. We talk about this. He's the same player. He's not changed.
I know.
But that's how it works. It takes people a long time to sort of come around to the arguments. He's been fighting the DH thing. He's been fighting the short career thing. And now I think that stuff's behind him, and he's going in next year.
Yeah, the most incredible part of all of this is like, well, how did he play in 2017? Did it affect his Hall eligibility at all? How was his last season in this all? And yeah, it hasn't changed at all because, and it's just amazing to see how that progression kind of
we see it all the time.
Changes.
It's so weird.
I know, it is weird. It's
so
bizarre.
weird, yeah.
All right, so 6th year of eligibility for Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds, Curt Schilling. Are we going to see these guys in the Hall of Fame eventually?
Well, Bonds and Clemens, it was a bad year for them. Bad year. I mean, their numbers inched up a little bit, but their votes didn't.
Barely.
Yeah, it only went up because there were fewer voters.
Right.
Barry Bonds got exactly the same number of votes this year as last year.
Wow.
No improvement, nothing. And not only that, 10 new voters voted for him. So that's 10 new votes. That means 10 other people didn't vote for him. So I think both those guys are in a holding pattern. I think the Joe Morgan letter had a big impact on the conversation. I think the people who don't want them in the Hall of Fame have become louder about that. I thought it was much louder this year, the anti-Bonds and anti-Clemens. Whether that's fair or not is not for me to say, but I thought it was much more pronounced and louder than it's ever been before. So those guys are in trouble. I really think that. As far as Schilling goes, I just don't know. I mean, what's he going to say? I mean, he might say something tomorrow that knocks 20 more points off his ballot. So
maybe he should stop talking.
He should stop talking. You talk about how other guys like Edgar Martinez aren't any different than they were. He is different in a lot of people's minds. It won't affect me. He can say whatever he wants about me personally. I don't care.
Sure.
I'm voting him in because I think he's a Hall of Famer. But he needs to shut up.
Right.
He really does.
It's not helping his campaign, that's for sure.
No.
All right, Andrew Jones, Scott Rowland will each stay on the ballot for 2019, but not anywhere near the 75%. Is the solution to this giving the writers more than 10 votes? Is that how we solve this issue?
I'd like to see that happen. I don't know if it would solve the issue. I don't know how much it would change. I don't know how many people...
Because you feel like these guys could potentially deserve to be in the Hall. Are they surefire Hall of Famers? Maybe not necessarily, but if you had more votes, you might vote them in.
Absolutely. No, look, there's one way to argue it. I actually think that having the 5% thing, I think that's a poor way to decide who's going to be on the ballot next year. Instead, you should ask people the question. It should be a completely separate poll where you ask people the question, could you see yourself ever voting for this person for the Hall of Fame? Do you believe this person should still be in the conversation? That would have kept Johan Santana on the list. It's very sad that he's off the list. The guy who was the big winner for first ballot guys, other than the ones that went in, was Omar Vizquel. Omar Vizquel got 37% of the vote. You can make a pretty good argument Scott Rowland and Andrew Jones have similar and better cases, but the one that the voters really liked was the Omar Vizquel case. So he was the guy that really did well. Those two guys have a long way to go.
All right, let's look ahead to 2019. This is going to be a really interesting class because it includes Mariano Rivera, Roy Halladay, Todd Helton, Andy Pettitte, Lance Berkman. Oh, my goodness. Those are a lot of big names that I grew up watching, and a lot of these guys that I could pinpoint specific moments in their career that really stood out to me, and I know you can as well, Joe, obviously. Who in this group is a first-ballot Hall of Famer?
I like that Mariano Rivera is like 6th on this list. Like, how do we do this list? Is that alphabetical? Maybe
yes,
it's alphabetical. Okay,
alphabetical.
I get it. All right. Rivera is obviously the first ballot guy, right? I mean, there's no question. And he is a guy, we just talked about unanimous, he is a guy that probably won't, because somebody will say, he's a reliever, I'm never going to vote for a reliever, whatever.
But he's the best ever to do it, ever, hands down.
And it's not close.
It's not close.
That's the thing. It's not, he is
and
like
we're seeing closers go into the Hall.
Right. No, look, there's no argument. To me, there's no argument against him. He's not just the best, he's the Wayne Gretzky of this, right? Where he's 25, 30, 40% better than the next guy.
Right.
So, look, he should go in unanimously. He probably won't. We'll be complaining about this next year. So I think he's certainly going to go in. The others, I don't know that any of them are going to go in first ballot, but I think some of them are going to make a big impact, particularly Roy Halladay. I mean, that's the guy I think that you're watching most closely. All-time great pitcher. A little bit of a short career, 203 wins. It's going to hurt him a little bit in the balloting. Obviously, the tragic way his life ended is going to have some impact on how the voters vote.
Sure.
So, look, to me, he's a first ballot guy. I think he's one of the great pitchers of all time.
Wow.
But we saw what people did to Johan Santana this year. And there's a difference between their case, but we are talking about multiple Cy Young winners who were the best pitcher of their era for at least a stretch of time.
Sure.
And Santana got no respect, none. And so it'll be interesting to see what Halladay does. But I think he'll do pretty well. I think he's going to be second on that list behind Mariano. And then Todd Helton's a whole other case because of Colorado. And
right.
Andy Pettitte,
let's talk. So we're showing some Helton footage here. So we talked a little bit about that and what it means to play there and how that affects your Hall of Fame case. How does it affect it?
Nobody knows.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. Look, you look at Todd Helton's numbers. I did this yesterday. I looked at his numbers. They're incredible.
Yeah.
He's a .313 lifetime hitter, a slug. He's 19th all time in slugging. He has like 592 doubles. He's in the top 20 in that category.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, he's just an incredible hitter. And if you look at his numbers, cold, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. There's no question. But everybody looks at Colorado. Larry Walker's been hurt badly by the Colorado thing. It's clear that his numbers were inflated somewhat by Colorado. People always exaggerate that way too much. They overcorrect, I guess, for the problems with them. I hope Todd Helton starts getting some support, but let's not also forget, this is still a pretty crowded ballot. There are a lot of good people on this ballot. So next year, a lot of guys are going to be right in that 8, 9, 10, 11, group.
Right.
And some of them are going to get hurt by that.
Yikes. All right. Jacob is watching. He says, what's happening with Manny Ramirez?
Going down. He went down again this year.
Yeah.
A little bit of the down ballot thing is going on with him. I mean, I think that he was another guy that might have been on more ballots if there had been a bigger ballot choice. But 2 failed drug tests seem to be the thing that's just defining him. And the Joe Morgan letter was clearly Bonds and Clemens were the main focus there, but all the guys who were connected, all of them, Sosa, Manny, Gary Sheffield, they all went down. They all went down at least a little bit in the votes. And I mean, this seems to be the momentum where it's going. For a while there, the momentum was going the other way.
Right.
Where people were like, hey, that was part of the game. These are the greatest players. They all belong.
Of course. Enough time was passing.
Starting
to forget a little bit.
I really believe, and I'm one of those people who thinks the letter had more of an impact than a lot of other people don't think it did. I think it reset the conversation, and we're back where we were 5 years ago.
I agree. Yeah, that's what it seems like it did. Absolutely. All right, by the way, get your question of the day in. It's National Opposite Day here. So make a statement that you believe will be the opposite of what will happen in 2018. I know it's a little confusing, but we'll all work it out here together. Joe is his head spinning.
No idea.
But Danny will help us out, sort that all out. Right, Danny?
I've got you guys covered, of course. So,
okay,
for example, let me give an example really quickly. All right. Tyler said the Phillies will win the World Series.
Yes, they won't win the World Series.
Because it's opposite day.
Get it?
So there you go.
That I get.
Okay.
That's fairly simple.
Also,
Yeah.
Joe, Kay on Facebook said another great tie.
Yes, Joe's tie game is killing it, man.
So I wish we could super zoom.
Is that an opposite?
By the way, the
What is
Brewers.
this? I think that's an opposite.
Well, actually, Kay, maybe let us know. Is that for opposite day or not? I can't confirm.
But remember,
that.
didn't Kay 2 days ago? She was the one who shouted out his
She
tie.
did.
I don't know. I
She
wasn't
did.
here.
She loves the tie.
Okay, she for real loves the tie.
She's not playing along for opposite day.
No. She
love
did have an opposite day moment, though. She said,
Oh.
Mets win it all.
That actually might not be an opposite day.
Oh, no, that's
Statement.
opposite. That's opposite day.
Did the
You-
Mets
you-
win the
with
World
the
Series?
Yeah,
Giants
that's
and the
very
Mets.
opposite. Very opposite day.
I don't know. There's some people out there that would say that that's a very possible hot take. All right, Danny, it's Throwback Thursday, so we're going to throw it back to some memorable times with a little bit of Hall of Fame connection to them.
Absolutely. So I'll start things off. And you guys were already gushing about him earlier, but Vladimir Guerrero, I wanted to pay tribute for my TBT today with him. And we're going to show you this video because I think this kind of represents everything that Vladimir Guerrero was and is to the game. Powerful, precise, and great. And that's everything that this frozen rope was. Listen, second year on the ballot, he gets in with 92.9% on the vote. He's the first position player, guys, from the Dominican Republic to earn this award, and we're not sure what hat he's going to wear. So when I finish rambling, I'm going to ask you guys where you think he's going to go as far as team goes. And listen, he launched this rocket to get Roberto Castillo out. The guy stood no chance, not only because the throw was right on target, but because it came from Vladimir Guerrero. So now to my friends across the room. Which hat is he going to wear going into the Hall of Fame?
I'd like to see him wear an Angels hat because I think that organization would be so happy to say we've got Vlad Guerrero in an Angels hat in the Hall of Fame.
They don't have anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy because he's going to either be the first guy to wear an Angels hat to the Hall of Fame,
right,
or the last guy to wear an Expos hat. It's going to be one or the other.
Yeah, that's a good
that
one.
he's going to go
What
with.
would you like to see him in?
I'd love the Angels to have somebody in the Hall of Fame,
Yeah.
right? I think it would be great.
That'd be
I think
nice.
he was a little better player with the Expos. He was a great player with the Angels too.
Yeah.
But he was younger and he was just the full, true experience with the Expos. But I hope he doesn't go in as an Oriole. That's really my big thing. I don't want him to go in with like the 1 year guys. I don't think that's a problem.
I don't think so.
No.
All right, my Throwback Thursday. I'm going to throw it back to 2016, not too long ago, but one of my favorite players in the entire world, a lot of people's favorite player, Ken Griffey Jr., was giving his Hall of Fame induction speech, and one of the coolest moments during his speech happened towards the end. Only something that Ken Griffey Jr. could pull off. Take a listen.
I want to thank my family, my friends, the fans, the Reds, the White Sox, and the Mariners for making this kid's dream come true.
Goosebumps. I got absolute goosebumps when I saw that. It was one of my favorite moments. It was a fashion statement that he didn't even mean to make. Yeah. He would wear his dad's hat when he was younger, and his dad had a fro and he didn't, so his hat would be too big. So he would turn it around to make him more comfortable. And that was the story of where this all came from. And the fact that it ends up defining him as part of his fashion of the era was just so amazing.
Classic and iconic. That's really all you can say about it.
Love it. All right, speaking of infectious baseball players, Yasiel Puig was doing something that, honestly, Danny, I feel like you and I could do as a second career.
We would.
Flipping burgers. He did it at a local fast food joint, and he was kind of like a little bit curious as to why people were coming out to see him. You're Yasiel Puig. That's why people come out to see you, because you're super fun. Yeah. Take a listen to Yasiel Puig's adventure.
Put it like this. I did it. I did my ground beef, man.
Yasiel, what do you think about people's reaction when they see you in the drive-thru? And everyone came out to see you. Some people saw it on Twitter, and they dropped everything to come and see you.
Yes, but people need to go to work. They don't do that. How's your boss when you leaving from the work? For coming to the McDonald's, for seeing me and hanging out with me here. That's awesome, and I want to say thank you to everybody here and to the fans in Los Angeles.
I knew somebody from the Dodgers was coming, but I didn't know it was Yasiel Puig. But when he came through the door, everything just went crazy.
Hey, what's up, boy? How you doing? Are you ordered yet? Oh, why you not dealing with me? How much? $300?
Yeah, 400.
Hi, Jay. Good morning. $400. No, not today. I pay you for you. See you in the stadium. That's for me.
Guys, I think that we can guarantee Yasiel Puig will have no fun in 2018. Not one bit.
National Opposite Day.
That's right.
You get it?
I like that. I totally did not get that. No, but
Okay,
I do.
Joe.
All right, I'm good now.
Listen, I'm going to read some of these to you, and at the end, I need you to give me your best opposite day prediction for 2018, okay?
All right,
so I'm going to read these to you now. Our friends on Facebook came up clutch. John, the Cardinals will not take the division. Yes, they will. Nachi, Stanton will not get over 35 home runs next season. Yes, he will. Kelly, the Giants will not earn a wild card spot this year.
Kelly's on the same page as I am.
That's
Yes,
right.
they will.
Yes, they will. Allison, Bryce Harper will not win the Triple Crown this year.
I agree. Bryce Harper, Triple Crown.
I like that.
Do it.
Wow.
Stevie, baseball's single-season home run record won't be broken.
It will be broken by who? You got to tell us who. You got to give us a name.
Collective. I think it means collectively, like the single season.
the most amount of hope. Oh,
Yes.
got it. Okay.
Over 6,000.
So we're going to top the season of the long ball. Okay.
That's right. Jack, the Astros can't not go back-to-back this year. You got that, Joe? Can't not
Go back to back. Okay.
go back-to-back.
I don't get it.
All right, our last one, Doan. The Yankees will not win the World Series in 2018.
I'm holding you to that. Meaning they're just not going to. National Opposite Day ended before you said that.
All right, Joe.
Sorry.
What you got?
Well, one, so you're all for the Harper winning the Triple Crown, and yet Tommy Pham's still going to win the MVP. How is this going to happen? How can both happen?
Tommy Pham's definitely taking home. Well, that's my hot take.
Yes.
It's a hot take because there's a possibility that can happen, but we're not really sure.
Gotcha.
But Bryce Harper.
Okay, my opposite day
Nationals
is
fan.
I love Emo's Pizza in St. Louis. That is
Yes.
my
Emo's Pizza. Let's give it up for Emo's. It's the best pizza that I've ever tasted.
best pizza in the country, right there.
That's right.
You're not jealous at all. That's all I have to say.
I'm a little jealous, honestly. I'm not going to lie to you.
I could play this game all day with you, Joe. Don't try me.
All right, our final story, by the way, we wish this was an opposite day story, but unfortunately it's not. Somebody is vandalizing the Field of Dreams out in Iowa, Danny. What is going on?
Not cool.
We took a tractor truck and just drove all over it, and several $1,000s worth of damage was done to the field. Multiple areas, and they're really going to have to pump some money into it to clean it all up. What jerk would do this? What jerk would deface the Field of Dreams? I'm going to tell you who it wasn't, and this is not opposite day. It was not Jerry Blevins. He has been very outspoken on Twitter about how this is not the best baseball movie of all time. He's just very steadfast in saying that. But he says, even though I don't think it's the best baseball movie, I still would never vandalize the field. And I feel very strongly about that, too. I don't think it's the best baseball movie, but I am not one of the culprits.
Sounds like a nightmare. Someone's about to have a field of nightmares coming their way.
It's you know what?
Terrible.
It's not heaven. It is Iowa.
Yeah.
I think that's what that proves right there.
That's right.
This wouldn't happen in heaven.
No, absolutely not.
That's brutal.
All right,
Man,
Danny.
Just killing the Midwest today. Killing it.
Emo's.
Emo's.
Send us some free pizza. Prove us wrong.
Emo's is the worst. Bye, guys.
Bye, Danny.
See ya.
She's right, though.
That part was right. That part was right there. That worked out right there. That worked out great.
Joe, thanks for being here.
Thank
As
you.
always.
Oh, it's awesome.
We always love all of your knowledge, and we always have a good time with you here. And hopefully you had a great time as well. I know you probably did. Join us tomorrow, 12:25 live, same time, same place. We'll be here. Hopefully you will be too, MLB.com. Take care, everyone. See you tomorrow.